we think of cars, right? And they're like these separate things that move us around.
Yeah.
But the technology inside them
Mm-hmm.
and how they connect to everything else around them,
Right.
it's changing so fast. It's kind of amazing.
It is. It is. It's way more than just writing now.
It is, yeah. And that's what makes our deep dive today so interesting.
Okay.
We've been going through some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's excerpts from xmartonprojects.pdf.
Okay.
Xmarton, a Czech company
Uh-huh.
doing some really big things in smart mobility.
What struck me, going through these Xmarton projects is just how big, how widespread what they're doing is. It's not just like one little thing.
Yeah.
They're working with everyone from these big car companies to, places like emergency services.
Yeah, it is really eye-opening
Yeah.
just flipping through these projects. I mean, they're talking about
Yeah.
partnerships with car makers, completely changing how rental car companies manage their fleets.
Uh-huh.
Integrating with delivery services,
Okay.
giving like essential tools to the police and fire departments,
Wow.
helping local governments, private businesses, even getting into bike sharing.
Really?
So when you hear smart vehicle, right?
Yeah.
What pops in your head first?
I mean, most people probably think, driver assistance stuff, maybe the fancy entertainment systems in cars now.
Right.
But these projects, it's like a deeper level of like smartness.
Yeah.
It's all about being super efficient, making things more secure.
Yeah.
Basically finding new ways to move people and things around.
And manage it all.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's start with Xmarton's first direct partnership with a car maker,
All right.
SsangYong in the Czech Republic and Slovakia.
Okay.
Now, SsangYong is becoming KGM, rebranding,
Right.
and starting in April next year, 2025, they're offering Xmarton's technology an optional upgrade.
Interesting.
And what's cool is this isn't just like some tacked-on thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a whole digital vehicle management system.
Okay.
It's like a really advanced software suite that lets owners control their car remotely
Yeah.
through an app.
That's pretty cool.
So this partnership,
yeah.
it's not just adding features, right?
Right.
It's showing that people expect even like more affordable brands to have these connected car experiences.
Yes. Makes sense. Yeah.
So if you pick this option,
Okay.
you get real-time location tracking, which these days a lot of people kind of expect, but it goes way beyond that.
Okay.
They're including an electronic logbook,
Oh, wow.
which is really useful if you need to like track your mileage for work or something. Plus, you get these smart vehicle status notifications.
What's that?
So like if there's something wrong with your car, it'll tell you remotely.
Oh, that's cool. Like a heads up.
Yeah, exactly. And they have remote control via a digital key. So you can do car sharing.
Right.
That's pretty forward thinking.
It is. Yeah, it
It
is.
taps into that whole like shared mobility thing. And it's a really easy and secure way to manage who can use your car
Makes sense.
without needing physical keys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then for safety, they have a vehicle immobilization feature.
Oh, wow.
So if someone tries to steal your car,
Right.
it's a big deterrent.
That's great.
And Jan Piszek, who's the CEO of Xmarton,
Yeah.
he called this partnership a significant milestone and like the start of their tech being used more widely.
So they're pretty excited about this.
Yeah, it sounds like a big deal for them.
It is. Getting that first deal with a car company,
Yeah,
it shows people trust their technology.
for sure.
And Martin Marin,
Okay.
he's the sales director at SsangYong, or KGM, I guess now,
Yeah,
for the Czech Republic and Slovakia.
right.
He talked about how committed they are to making their cars more digital and giving people a better experience through smart technology solutions.
That's great.
So it seems like SsangYong or KGM,
Yeah.
even though they're known for affordable SUVs,
Right?
they're serious about adding this cutting-edge tech.
Absolutely, Art. So let's switch gears completely, talk about car rentals.
Got it.
So Enterprise, they operate as check-a-car in this case.
Okay.
They needed to like really modernize and go digital with their rentals.
Yeah, makes sense.
They wanted to get rid of all the paper stuff
Mm-hmm.
and use digital solutions for everything.
Okay.
From like how they hand over the keys
Right.
to tracking if cars leave certain areas, knowing which cars are free at each branch,
Yeah,
and of course, keeping track of the mileage.
of course. Yeah.
That's
There's
cool.
so much paperwork with rentals usually.
You know, right?
It's crazy.
Xmarton was basically trying to get rid of all of that
Oh, wow.
and replace it with this smooth digital system.
That's ambitious.
It is. And what's interesting,
Yeah.
is that Xmarton didn't just do exactly what they asked.
Oh.
They actually optimized it.
Okay.
So instead of tracking every single car all the time,
Mm-hmm.
which, people worry about privacy,
Yeah.
they did what they call triggered monitoring.
Right.
So it only tracks the car in specific situations.
Yeah, like when someone rents it or returns it, or if it leaves a designated area.
Okay.
Or if something weird happens, like
Oh.
if it gets towed.
Okay.
So it's like a balance between efficiency and, protecting data.
That's really smart.
It is. And they used QR codes
Okay.
to make the handover process way easier.
How does it work?
So imagine you scan a QR code on the car,
Yeah.
and all the info about the car pops up.
Oh, wow.
Like the mileage, any damage. And if you've booked it, your info's already there.
That's so much faster.
Yeah, it makes picking up and dropping off so much smoother.
Right.
And Check a Car got some big benefits from this.
Like what?
They knew exactly where all their cars were.
And if they were available,
Okay.
handovers were way quicker.
Got it.
Reporting breakdowns or damage was easier.
Yeah.
They got alerts for maintenance and servicing.
That's good.
They could see which cars weren't being used much.
Oh, interesting.
And they could make sure people were sticking to the mileage limits and all that stuff.
So a lot of benefits.
Yeah. And Xmarton did a lot.
Yeah.
They provided the hardware,
Uh-huh.
which they call the basic unit,
Okay.
and the software systems for like fleet management,
Right.
digital handover stuff,
Got it.
and reports.
Okay.
But they also delivered the whole integrated solution.
So they did everything.
Yeah, they're not just about the tech.
Right.
They're about the whole solution.
That's cool.
So now let's talk about a really innovative project,
Okay.
Škoda Auto Digital,
Mhm.
which is now Škoda X,
Right.
and their trunk delivery project.
Okay.
This is about using your car as a delivery locker.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like blurring the lines between personal stuff
Yes.
and delivery stuff.
I get it.
So Škoda X needed a secure way to let couriers open the back doors of parked cars
Okay.
so they could drop off packages.
That makes sense.
And they needed to know where the car was parked and be able to
Yeah.
turn on the hazard lights or honk the horn.
Right. So the courier can find the car.
Exactly. And the really important thing
Yeah.
was that this had to work with the systems the couriers were already using.
Okay.
So it couldn't be a whole new separate thing.
Right. It had to fit in with what they already had.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Xmarton, they optimized it. They didn't just make it so you could open the back doors.
Okay.
Added monitoring for all the doors.
Oh, okay.
And they put in an immobilization system.
Wow. So extra security.
Yeah. But the biggest challenge was making a platform that could connect the Škoda X's system to all these different courier systems.
Right.
And it had to be secure.
Yeah, of course.
And protect the car owner's privacy.
Absolutely.
So the couriers only got the info they needed. And only for as long as they needed it.
That's good.
And get this. It works with almost any car.
Really?
Made since 2000.
Wow. That's a lot of cars.
It is.
And what were the benefits for a Škoda X?
So the car is super secure during deliveries and all the time.
Okay.
The couriers get a digital key automatically.
Right.
And it's all secure even if the GSM network goes down.
That's important.
So for trunk delivery,
Yeah.
Xmarton provided the hardware,
Okay.
which is the exclusive unit,
Got it.
the software, the integration platform, and the whole solution for booking access to the car and controlling it.
So they're really good at connecting to other systems.
They are. And trunk delivery shows how smart car tech can make whole new services and business models possible.
It's pretty amazing.
Okay, so let's move on to something really important.
Okay.
Emergency services.
Right.
So the police and the fire department, they needed a better way to manage their vehicles.
Yeah, that makes sense. Their work is so important.
It is. And they wanted a lot.
Like what?
A digital logbook.
Okay.
A system for booking and planning which vehicles to use. Real-time tracking of the whole fleet.
Got it.
And even the ability to control the emergency lights remotely.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. Plus they wanted automatic checks and reports and a monitoring panel with different levels of access.
Makes sense.
And they really needed to keep track of the condition of the vehicles.
Yeah.
And schedule maintenance based on how much they were used.
Right.
And any damage.
Okay.
Xmarton added something really cool.
What's that?
They made it so you could identify who was in the vehicle
Oh, interesting.
using ID cards, chips, or RFID.
Okay.
But the biggest challenge
Yeah.
was connecting their system to the emergency lights and sirens.
Right. That sounds tricky.
It was, and they had to do it without changing the vehicles too much.
Oh, that makes it even harder.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with those systems.
No, definitely not.
But the benefits were huge.
Like what?
Way less paperwork.
Okay.
Automatic reports.
Got it.
They could see where all their vehicles were. They could remotely disable the ignition for security.
Oh, wow.
They could track how much the emergency lights were used and make sure everyone was following the rules.
So it made things safer and more efficient.
Exactly.
That's great.
So for emergency services, Xmarton provided their standard unit hardware, the software, the fleet management and security suite, and a system for booking, approvals, and security.
Got it.
All designed for their specific needs.
So it's helping them do their jobs better.
Absolutely. Okay, now let's look at Bratislava Municipal Authority.
Okay.
They wanted to reduce the number of vehicles they needed.
Wow, that's a big goal.
It is, and they wanted to do it by sharing vehicles between different departments.
Oh, okay. So like a pool of cars everyone can use.
Exactly.
That's smart.
It is. And they needed a system for booking and scheduling with permissions and approvals.
Right. So not just anyone can take any car.
Yeah, and digital keys.
So no more physical keys.
Right, which makes things much smoother.
It does, yeah.
And Xmarton went even further.
How?
They added this analytical tool to track how well the vehicles were being used.
That's really smart.
It is. It helps them make better decisions about their fleet.
Right, like how many cars they actually need.
Exactly.
But going from like physical keys to all digital, that's a big change for people.
It is, but they got amazing results.
What were they?
They reduced their fleet by 10%.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is, and it saved them money.
Makes sense.
Right, plus cars were more available, and they didn't waste time handing over keys.
Yeah, that's great.
So Xmarton gave them the hardware, the exclusive unit,
got it,
the software, the fleet management system, their vehicle sharing for pool fleets solution, and the digital key system.
So they provided everything.
Yeah, and it shows how smart tech can make public services more efficient.
Absolutely. Okay, what's next?
Okay, this one's a bit different.
Right.
Bratislava Region Tourism.
Okay.
They wanted a bike rental system for the whole region.
Cool. So tourists can easily get around.
Yeah, but it wasn't just rentals. They wanted charging stations and secure parking too.
Wow, so a whole system.
It was, and they had a lot of needs.
Like what?
So they wanted smart bike stands.
Okay.
That could handle rentals through an app. And they had to have secure parking and charging for e-bikes.
Got it.
And had to work with all kinds of bikes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And they wanted one system for the whole region.
Okay.
So tourists could use one app and one account.
That's convenient.
Yeah. But each town or city had to be able to manage their own bikes and prices.
Okay.
And connect to their own payment systems.
Wow, that's a lot to think about.
It is.
So how did Xmarton handle that?
So they added a backup power system to the bike stands.
Oh, that's smart.
So even if the power went out, the system would still work. And they used their European data network to make sure the system could always connect.
Right, so it wouldn't rely on just one network.
Exactly. The biggest challenge wasn't the tech itself.
It wasn't.
It was all the paperwork.
Oh, right.
To get EU funding.
Of course, that can be a nightmare.
But the benefits were huge.
Like what?
They could save money because they wouldn't need staff at rental places.
Okay.
It would attract more tourists.
Yeah.
Because it'd be so easy to rent bikes.
Right.
Rentals would be available 24/7.
That's great.
And it'd be one system for the whole region.
So much easier for tourists.
Yeah. So for this, Xmarton gave them their remote control unit hardware.
Okay.
Their sharing and rental system software.
Right.
And their fleet management system software.
Got it.
And the solution for like bike sharing and rentals, bookings, and online payments.
Wow. So everything.
Yeah. And their digital key system. But for bikes.
That's pretty cool.
It shows how smart tech can help tourism and make transportation more eco-friendly.
Absolutely. Okay, let's move on.
All right. Now, this was really unique.
Okay.
Cooperative insurance.
Yeah.
They needed a way to monitor classic cars.
Classic cars.
Yeah. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
They needed a device that didn't need to be plugged in all the time.
Oh, that's interesting.
It'd run on battery for like 6 months.
Wow, that's a long time.
It is. And they needed location tracking, mileage tracking, and security features.
Like what?
Like if it got towed or in an accident, it would alert their assistance center.
So it's like peace of mind for classic car owners?
Exactly.
Cool.
But Xmarton did even more.
Really?
They added monitoring for temperature and humidity.
Oh, wow.
Inside where the car was stored.
That's important for classic cars, right?
It is, yeah, to keep them in good condition.
Makes sense.
But it was tough to develop.
How so?
They had to make it work with cooperative systems.
Okay.
Automate the notifications and make this tiny device with a super long battery life.
Right, that's a lot to fit in.
It is. And they even did this two-way data exchange thing.
Okay.
So Cooperativa would send them contract info.
Yeah.
And that would trigger the delivery of the device.
Got it.
And then the device would send back mileage and security data.
So they're constantly talking to each other.
Yeah. And because of this, Cooperativa became the only company offering full insurance for classic cars.
Wow, so big advantage for them.
It was. So for this, they provided their power unit hardware.
Got it.
The fleet management for end-user software. The solution for working with the insurance company and delivery people.
Right.
And their fleet management platform with an integration layer.
Okay.
It shows how they can really target specific needs.
It does, yeah. It's impressive.
Okay, almost done.
All right. Now we have Jetson City Hall.
Okay.
They already had these document delivery lockers, and they wanted to add car key handovers to the system.
Interesting.
So they needed it to work with the lockers and have a system for booking cars with approvals.
Got it.
They wanted to make getting and returning cars way easier.
That makes sense.
And Xmarton's solution was really smart.
What did they do?
They connected their GPS tracking to the locker system.
Okay.
So when a car was returned,
Yeah.
it would automatically remind the person to return the key.
Oh, that's clever.
And it would even send alerts
Okay.
if there was a potential conflict with another booking.
So it prevents problems.
It does, yeah. The challenge was designing the logic for all the controls and notifications.
Right, to make sure everything ran smoothly.
Yeah, and it worked really well.
How so?
More people used the lockers.
Okay.
Getting cars was easier and faster, especially outside of office hours.
They had way fewer problems with people not being able to access cars.
That's great.
And no more delays with picking up and returning keys.
Sounds like a win-win.
It was. So for this, they provided their Flexi unit hardware,
Got
a
it.
fleet management software, a booking and approval system that worked with the key handover,
Right.
and the tech to connect to the locker systems.
So they really integrated everything.
They did. It shows how combining different smart technology can make things much more efficient.
Absolutely.
Okay, last one.
All right, bring it on.
XXX Lutz and Mobilex.
Okay.
Two big retail companies. They needed help managing their huge fleets of vehicles.
Across 2 countries.
Yeah, the Czech Republic and Slovakia.
Wow, that's a lot to handle.
It is. They had a bunch of challenges, keeping track of all the vehicles, monitoring fuel use, automating the trip logs for all the journeys across both countries.
That sounds like a lot of data.
It was. And they needed a system that could monitor all the vehicles at all their branches, automatically record trip info and fuel use. Work with their fuel card system.
Got it.
Let them install the tracking units quickly
Right.
without overloading their fleet manager, and even do digital vehicle inspections.
Wow. They really wanted it all.
They did.
So what did Xmarton do?
So they used their Flexi unit,
Okay.
which tracks mileage really accurately, monitors fuel levels,
Got it.
and works with their fuel cards.
Okay.
They also added like photo documentation
Right.
and digital handover and acceptance protocols.
So they covered everything.
They did. The biggest challenge was getting all the vehicles to the right places.
Right, across all those branches.
Yeah, within 14 days.
That's a tight deadline.
It was, but the results were amazing.
What happened?
They cut their admin work by a ton.
Wow.
Like processing the monthly data went from 3 weeks to 2 days.
That's incredible.
It is. And instead of cutting jobs, they had their fleet managers focus on improving service and maintenance.
So the vehicles were better taken care of?
Exactly.
That's great.
So they used the Flexi unit, the fleet management system,
Okay.
and the digital handover and inspection protocols.
So a whole package.
Yeah, it shows how smart fleet management can really boost efficiency
Right.
and let companies use their resources better.
For sure.
So what we've seen with all these projects is that Xmarton's technology, it's not just about tracking dots on a map.
Right.
It's about solving real problems
Yeah.
and making things better
I agree.
in all kinds of different areas.
It's pretty amazing.
It is. We saw them
Yeah.
improve car ownership, make rental companies and big fleets run smoother,
Right.
help emergency services and city governments,
Yeah.
and even boost tourism.
And they did it all with this one core technology.
They did, and they adapted it in some really clever ways.
Like what?
Like that 6-month battery for classic cars.
Oh, yeah, that was cool.
That's thinking outside the box.
It is. And what about that thing with the lockers?
Yeah, integrating with the document delivery lockers for handing over keys.
Right.
That's solving a very specific problem.
It is.
And they did it well.
They did. And they really seem to get their clients.
Yeah.
They understand their workflows, their challenges, their needs.
And they tailor the solutions for each one.
Exactly. That's why they're doing so well in so many industries.
It makes sense.
So what did you find most surprising or maybe most relevant to you as you were listening to all this?
I think for me, the emergency services thing really stood out.
Yeah.
Being able to disable a vehicle remotely if it's stolen or misused, but still letting authorized people,
like paramedics,
or firefighters, access the keys in an emergency.
That's really smart.
It is. It's not just about convenience.
Right.
It's about safety and security.
Absolutely. It's a big deal. It is. And it makes you think,
About what?
about the future, like all this connectivity and remote control, what's it going to mean for transportation and logistics in the future?
Exactly. As it becomes more and more a part of our lives, what new things will be possible?
And what challenges will we face?
That's the big question.
It is balancing convenience and efficiency with things like data privacy and security. It's complicated.
It is, but it's definitely something to think about.
Absolutely. It's a rapidly changing world.
It is, and Xmarton is right at the forefront of it.
They are, and it'll be fascinating to see what they do next.